You're listening to Transcendental Talks Toronto, transcending your mind, elevating your consciousness. Welcome to another episode of Transcendental Talks Toronto, the podcast where we connect with each other through discussions about elevating our consciousness from a spiritual perspective. Through conversations with a variety of guests, we will delve into how to balance material and spiritual pursuits, experiences along the spiritual journey, self-improvement, the practice of Bhakti yoga or devotion to the divine, challenges, tips, and inspiration, all in a deeply fun and relevant way.
Today's episode will highlight another inspiring way in which Bhakti can transform one's life. Bhakti yoga means connecting to the divine through means of loving service, and through relatable and real-life experiences will showcase how one can integrate Bhakti into their life and lead a fulfilling life in all circumstances. I'm Punya Shravana.
And I'm Radha Priya, and we're your hosts at Transcendental Talks Toronto.
It's our extreme delight to invite three special guests who are no strangers to our Toronto community. We've got Venkatesh, Monil, and Devanshi, and together they spearhead the Bhakti Academy program in Toronto. Just to give our viewers some background, Bhakti Academy is a spiritual education program that started in 2022, and it's a way for like-minded people to come in a nice spiritual setting and practice form of Bhakti yoga through activities such as japa, mantra meditation, kirtan and bhajans, cooking spiritual, sanctified, vegan and vegetarian food, and performing so much more. So all these guests that we have are part of the Bhakti Academy program, and they're here to share their memorable experiences of being part of the community. Thank you, Devanshi, Venkatesh, and Monil. It's so much of a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so to get started, can you all tell us a little bit about your background? Where were you born, where you grew up, and, just a little bit about yourselves. And maybe
Hi everyone.
Venkatesh, you can go first.
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Venkatesh. I'm from Hyderabad, in southern part of India. Currently, I'm working a software. I'm working at Tata Consultancy Services (TCS) as a software engineer. So I specialize in mainframes development and as well as data analysis. So coming to me, most of my life I was spent with my family and friends before I moved to Canada. And I moved to Toronto in April 2022 on company transfer. So before, in my free time, I used to enjoy biking, traveling, hiking, and partying. So after I came here, most of my life in 2 years is more spiritual association of devotees, spending most of the time in the temple. That's all about me.
Thank you. And Devanshi, do you want to go?
Sure. Hare Krishna. So my name is Devanshi, and I grew up in the north side of India, Punjab. And before coming to Canada, I also was staying in Chandigarh for a few years, preparing for my engineering entrance examinations. And I came to Canada in 2021 of November. And I currently am full-time at Bhakti Academy, and I'm also a full-time student at a university. I'm studying data science and artificial intelligence.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Hello everyone. My name is Monil and I'm from western part of India, Gujarat. I came to Canada 2.5 years back to study computer programming. And right now I'm a graduate in computer programming from Seneca College and also a full-time student at Bhakti Academy.
Wonderful. It's so nice to meet all of you. So I'm just curious, how long have each of you stayed in the Bhakti Academy setting for? Maybe Devanshi?
I started last year in May, so for me it's more than a year now.
Wonderful. And Monil?
I joined Bhakti Academy this year, April. So it's been 5 months now.
And how
So
about you, Venkatesh?
myself, I connected with Bhakti Academy more than 2 years. Like as I said, like from the day that I started, it's all Because of Bhakti Academy, I met few Bhakti Academy devotees in the temple, and after that, like I started my journey there until now. And I joined in Bhakti Academy officially on January 2023 as a New Year resolution.
Amazing. I think that's the
Mhm.
best resolution one can make.
Yeah.
I completely agree with
Um,
that.
yeah, amazing. So I've been practicing Bhakti for my entire life. So it's really interesting to see how those are relatively new to the practice kind of came to the path. And I wanted to know, what was your first introduction to Bhakti or the practice of Krishna consciousness? When was it? How did it all happen? And maybe Venkatesh, you can go first.
Thank you very much. So, since I am a traditionalist who values tradition more than modernity, I connected to spirituality from my childhood through my parents. So, after I came to Canada in 2022, on the day of Sri Krishna Janmashtami, a festival when Lord Krishna appeared on this Mother Earth, my roommate Sri Hari brought me to ISKCON for the first time, which resides in 243 Avenue Road, Toronto. So, fortunately, that day I saw few young Vaishnavas um, in ISKCON temple doing kirtan and dancing in ecstasy, dancing with ecstasy. So that was stuck in my mind, and like seeing them enjoying kirtan more than Indians, and like so I started inquiring about it more because till that moment I never come to ISKCON. I don't know that like even Vaishnavas also involved in something mm, in Krishna conscious things. So um, that is the first moment of Krishna conscious moment for me. So until that moment, I didn't have any real purpose in my life my except all materialistic goals. But uh, after I started inquiring them, by listening to their realization and seeing their strong sadhana for next few weeks, uh, mm, that they are following in the ashram, I felt how ignorant I am, and on the same day, the association that I had with these devotees is created very positive impact in me. I left all my bad qualities such as drinking and all material pleasures, eating non-veg, and literally I stopped spending my energy on temporary pleasures. In few days, like I got a chance to join in Bhakti Academy ashram. Um, because like I felt the process of Krishna consciousness is very clear and structured when compared to like the one that I followed back in India is more like uh, ritualistic. So here, the simply keeping Krishna center in each and every activity that we do on daily basis is the best thing that we can do. That is the real bhakti that I felt. That's my Krishna conscious journey.
Love that. Yeah, so it happened very fast for you as soon as you enter the temple and you're like, wow, this is amazing. Who wants to go next? Maybe Devanshi, if you want to go.
Sure. So for me, it was like it took a few tries. So in India, when I was in Chandigarh, uh, closer to my school, there was an ISKCON temple. So I would visit before exams to ask God to help me in my exams. So like I visited in Chandigarh for two times ISKCON temple, and I didn't know anything about Prabhupada at that time. I didn't know anything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was just Krishna and Sri Radha. So that is also because my family is very religious, and I grew up in a religious family, and they are all they told us about Krishna, told us about all the demigods. So when I moved to Canada, actually before moving to Canada in COVID, I found this recording of Prabhupada. It's Hare Krishna chanting, the one that they play in during japa time in the temple. And I don't know why, but I would just I had my meditation sessions in the morning, and I would play them at the back. So that happened for about 1 month, and then I moved to Canada. So after living in Canada for 1 year, things happened. I was very distressed. Um, so the starting of last year in January, I started to connect again with spiritual side of myself, and I started coming to the temple again. Um, and I was coming only for Sunday feasts at that time, and I saw Bhakti Academy people, as Venkatesh was said, like dancing in ecstasy and just together all the time and radiating this positive energy. Um, and that just attracted me. That was like, wow, what are they doing differently that I am not doing? And why do I look so tired? You know? So and they were kind enough to welcome me, and they were kind enough to take me in, listen to me, help me figure out my things, and just, um, yeah, just listen to me and be there for me. So that's how I got connected to ISKCON. My friends, my devotee friends took me in. Thank
So my
Mm.
story is kind of similar to Devanshi. So my father has been practicing this path of bhakti for some time now. So he actually introduced me to this process that okay, there's something we call Krishna consciousness, and it shows you the way of life. But back in India, I was not really interested in this process. I was like, life is meant for enjoying. I'm young. There's all these things. They are meant for old people. I can do it after retirement. And my thinking was like that. And after that, he kept on insisting me to take up to this process. You know, do some meditation, chant, and read some scriptures. But I was not into it. And after that, I moved to Canada. He also gave me a very ancient scripture. It's called Bhagavad Gita as a gift, so that I can read it. But to be honest, I never touched it for 6 months when I was in Canada. So after spending some time in Canada, things were difficult for me. Like it was challenging managing your studies, going for work, and then again coming back, sleep deprived, studying. It was just very chaotic, and I started questioning like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose of my life? What is this all for? And that's when I remembered like what my father used to say. There's scripture, Bhagavad Gita. It has all the answers. So I started turning pages of Bhagavad Gita, and I got a few answers. And then my father he used to ask me on call that, have you visited the ISKCON temple? I would say, I don't have time, Papa. I don't have time. I have a lot of things to do. But then after reading this book, I actually came to the temple. And as Devanshi and Venkatesh mentioned, I saw Bhakti Academy. Like they were effulgent, they were dancing, they were smiling, and they were happy actually. They were happy with what they were doing. And I was really curious, like, what is this? And how are these people so happy? So that's how like I was actually introduced to Bhakti. Before that was not really striking to me. So yeah, that is my journey. After that, I they welcomed me, and I started associating with them more, and that's how now I'm in Bhakti Academy.
Wow, thank you for sharing such beautiful perspectives. I like the fact how all of you, you were kind of not really expecting to take to the path of bhakti, and then somehow through a divine arrangement, life unfolded, and here you are now, like living in the ashram and taking on such leadership roles. And it sounds like what you have right now is so much more blissful than the life that you may have been experiencing before. So I think it's really, really nice to hear that for myself and our audience as well. I'm curious, maybe you guys can share with us just a little bit more about Bhakti Academy and what each day in the life of a day in the life of what Bhakti Academy is. Like what is it that happens in the morning, the afternoon, evening, and so forth?
you. So The typical day starts at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. So we have morning program that starts from 5:30 and it goes till 8:30, which includes prayers to Srila Prabhupada, prayers to Nrsingadev. We have our chanting time, 1 hour from 6 to 7, and then we have prayers to Krishna, Sri Radha, Gauranatai, and Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. These are our deities in the temple. And then we have prayers to Srila Prabhupada again. And then we do Srimad Bhagavatam class. So Srimad Bhagavatam is an ancient literature. It's a scriptural text which talks about Krishna and his pastimes. So we discuss that early in the morning from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. And then we have an hour of rest. And then we have morning services, which depending upon the day, we do sometimes help in the kitchen. We sometimes help cleaning our residential quarters. Sometimes we help cleaning the temple. Sometimes we help on the mezzanine, just cleaning things. And right now, people are helping with painting, murals, and also pumpkins, carving pumpkins for Halloween. This is going on. And then we have, so I forgot about the breakfast, the important part. After 8:30, we have breakfast. And then at 12, after the services, we have lunch. And then we have 2 to 3 hours free in the afternoon. And then we have reading, which is part of our afternoon reading. So currently we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. Last semester we were reading Bhagavad Gita. And depending upon the day, sometimes we also go for Sankirtan, which is actually, we were going 4 times a week. And we will continue going. Maybe we will increase the time in one day and then reduce the number of days, something like that. We'll talk. We'll discuss about it in the leadership meetings. And then we have outreach events in the evening, which goes from 6 to 8 p.m. And that too, depending upon the day. If it's Wednesdays, we do meditation parties. If it's Thursdays, there's an event that we're doing right now. It's called Bhakti Yoga Studio, especially for local outreach. And it starts from 7 to 8, and it's at a local yoga studio. And then we have divine dialogues every Fridays, which is like philosophical sessions talking about Bhagavad Gita or topics from Bhagavad Gita, like how to forgive others, how you can take care of yourself, uh, how to get rid of fears in life, how to grow, all these practical questions that you have. What is my purpose? How can I be of service? Where am I investing my attention right now? All these questions. And then we have Kirtan Yoga evenings every Saturday. And then we have Sunday Feast, which is Love Feast, that was started by Srila Prabhupada when he came to the West. So we're continuing it. Then we have Prashadam, Kirtan, and a lot more of dancing.
Can I add something here?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Bhakti Academy is a program which is especially for newcomers, like who are in the age of between 18 to 30. So, like, this program is designed in such a way that, like, this can like whoever is working full time, and like the people who is studying, students, and as well as like the people who wants to give full time to the Bhakti, they all can join in Bhakti Academy. It's comfortable for the each and every individual based on their schedule. And whatever the activities that Devanshi mentioned is uh is mm, is optional for the people who is doing full-time job and like who is studying. And we have three kinds of programs like full-time, part-time, and as well as like giving all the time to the Krishna. So it's a very comfortable program, especially for newcomers. And the best thing is like um, newcomers can realize their life at the exactly at that particular moment, and as well as it helps them their materialistic life too. Spiritual and materialistically, they can advance through the Bhakti Academy.
So I would also like to add something to what Venkatesh and Devanshi just mentioned. So by having these various options like part-time, full-time, and just attending the morning program. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to make bhakti accessible to all. It's not that for practicing bhakti you need to leave your job or you need to stop going to your school. You can keep on working and also practice bhakti side by side. You can keep on going to school and practice bhakti. So that's why we have these various options.
Nothing but balancing each and everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's great that making Bhakti those who can have a choice in how much they want to be involved in the ashram based on how involved they are with school, work. I think that's really great that it's accessible for many individuals. And I like how you mentioned about the age of the individuals who are in the ashram, where they are students and younger. And so how many students are currently in Bhakti Academy, and what is the process to get accepted? And what are qualifications do people need to have to be part of the ashram?
Devanshi, would you like to?
Okay. I think currently we have about 16 to 17 people in the ashram right now, um, which is a mixture of men and women both. Um, and so the qualifications, actually, the real qualification is just having sincerity and the desire to know about Krishna. It's not like a job interview where you have to be good at technical side, behavioral side, and all that. Like the ashram is for people to grow in, and you don't have to come at ready. Like you don't have to be like a devotee to come in. All the newcomers are welcome as long as they have the sincere desire to know about Krishna, as long as they are dedicated and they want to grow in their life. That's the qualification. On top of that, there's some of the things that need to be followed when you're in the ashram. Is just you have to follow the four regulative principles and chant at least 8 rounds a day of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's all it's needed.
Wow, I like how it's so easily accessible, and the question or the answer that you provided where you said sincerity is the main thing. It makes it show that as long as you're genuine and you really want this, that there's nothing to stop one from being part of the Bhakti Academy. It's really, really nice to hear that. I recall all of you mentioned the different types of activities that take place in the day, like prayers, cooking, you may be cleaning. What is it that you like for each of you? Like, what's the one that kind of stands out the most in terms of your most favorite activity?
Mhm.
Venkatesh, maybe you want to go ahead first?
Yeah. Mm, I like each and everything because the main thing is coming far from family, from India, and like here, uh, having each and every activity with the 18 people who has different mode. Some are like 20 years old, and like because I am around like 30, and like seeing them like, okay, I feel like, okay, if I am 20, when I was 20, what did I do? Seeing these uh kids actually like 20 is means like kids only, like seeing them progressing them towards the bhakti and putting all their energy for each and every activity that they are doing, and like this feels like seeing smile in their face. It's give a lot of energy. Like usually when back like, before, I used to work 8 hours, 9 hours, and used to be so exhausted. Here, with the 8 hours work, I do almost like remaining service, morning program, almost like 8 more hours added, and I feel still blissful to do more work.
Mhm.
That is coming because I started liking each and everything that I do. It's just happened because of Bhakti Academy and the programs and the association. So I cannot point out any one of them. I love each and every one of the program that we are doing here, especially the association with the people that we are staying here. That is my favorite.
Thank you, Venkatesh. How about you, Devanshi?
So yeah, I think everything is really nice in the academy, but if you're looking for one answer specifically for me, I'd like the japa time, 7 to 8 a.m. It's very calm and very we can actually just personally connect with Krishna at that time. Um, and I like to do kirtan a lot, so that's the best part of the day for me.
Nice. And Monil?
Yes, for me, it's very hard to choose one, but I like all the outreach programs and especially Sankirtan. So, what Sankirtan is like, we go out and we try and distribute books or Vedic scriptures that we study or read in the academy. So, why this is my favorite because uh, we are trying to share or we are trying to help other people who are actually unaware of, this practice, this Krishna consciousness, and how it can help them. Because this has changed my life, and I also want to help others change their life. So yes.
Those
Very
are some
nice
really,
answer.
yeah, those are amazing. I really like how they all have different themes. So like camaraderie, sharing with others, personal practices, and like feeling that deep sense of spirituality within yourself. And so having all those themes, what are some of the most important lessons or values that you've taken from Bhakti so far? And what have you learned? Because you all three of you had very different backgrounds before you came into the practice of bhakti. And now that you're practicing it, what are some lessons or values that have changed your life, or what have you learned?
Um, So Bhakti is the yoga of love, right? So the most important lesson that I learned as doing my services or just being part of the Bhakti Academy is relationship over services or relationship over work. So services can be done by anyone, right? So I stayed in the ashram because my devotee friends took care of my needs not just in terms of providing spirituality, but also taking care of my mental health and also just being there for me. So if they would always prioritize services, like I so let's be honest, ISKCON is a volunteer organization, right? So if you want people to do something for you without giving anything to them in return, like it's needed that you take care of them. Like at least a top of in terms of like relationships, right? So um, my friends actually took care of me in that sense. So I always remember this that relationship over services. That's the biggest lesson I got.
I can add something. So I can say the love that the founder of ISKCON, mm, Prabhupada, given to each and every one is passing all over. Okay, is passing in such a way that like earlier, like when we see our colleagues, there is when we see someone who is more more good with this their own activities, and there is some jealous. But like now appreciating them and like thinking positively about them is a great change in my life. And not only that, loving myself and loving my parents and seeing everyone as the same, and the consciousness that we had earlier and that we have now is completely different. Is unexplained. I cannot explain that emotion, but like people can feel that emotion in me, and they say like there is some change in you, the way you handling things right now, the way you are handling the people right now, everything is changed. Maybe that's why Krishna consciousness is not to like change others. Krishna consciousness is something change ourselves. That is the main thing that I felt in me. And like apart of that, like I'm more organized and more disciplined and more productive and more uh, conscious about each and every activity that I do right now. I can
Yeah,
say that.
I think I can speak for Venkatesh. Like he said, he's changed a lot. Time when I joined, I think it was 1 year for him, or maybe 8 months. I think at that time. From that time to now, Venkatesh Prabhu has changed a lot, as to what I say. Like the way he's dealing with the people, or the way he expresses himself, the way he just, like the way he treats others has changed, completely changed. And I was so like something happened a few months ago, and the way he dealt with that situation, I was like, is he the same Venkatesh I met like when I joined the ashram? So it's crazy. The process really works.
Yeah, I would like to, sorry, yeah, I'd like to mention the 6 values that we actually practice in the academy. It's teaching by example, and then equal vision towards all, affection for all, non-violence, uh, the freedom of choice, and leading by example. And the 2 values that actually changed my life is affection for all and leading by example. I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. So before joining the ashram or in my earlier days in the academy, I was not really affectionate towards all. I was seeing them, finding faults in them, that he's not doing this right, she's not doing this right. I think uh she should not behave like this, like that. And that was not really helping me or them, because I was not really telling them. I was just thinking it to myself and keeping it to myself. But after few months, I was given this leadership role of an ashram leader, and that's when I realized that if you see people as they are, they will be what they are. And if you treat people how you want them to be, and then they will be what you want them to be. So I started treating people differently. I started seeing positive things in them, and I started actually developing this affection for them and started helping them in whatever ways I can. So and then I actually saw the difference in them. So it was amazing. And then one more quality is that I'm an ashram leader, and I would not say that I'm a leader. I would say I'm a servant leader, because the staying in the ashram, the definition of a servant leader is that I'm a servant who is serving them by leading them. So yeah, that is something that I learned, and I actually would apply in my life after actually I go out in the world.
Thank you for sharing such insightful responses. I think what I took away was just by doing these practices you described, whether it's the prayers, the chanting, like all these other good qualities and transformative changes in one's life just develops through that practice. And just in a short period of time, as you mentioned, like all of you have been staying in the ashram for a period of time, but it's not like 15, 20 years. It's just maybe 1 year, 1.5 years max. And even in that short period, you've been able to gain so much. One question I had is, like, I think Venkatesh mentioned that anyone can kind of practice in the ashram setting, whether they be a student, working, or even full-time. Like in our community here in Toronto, we have a lot of individuals who are at home and practicing. What would you tell them if they said, I'd rather just be practicing at home? Like, is there something more that they can get from being in the Bhakti Academy program and being in that ashram type setting? Like, what is it? What's the main difference? And I'd love to hear a little bit from all of you on that.
That's a nice question. Interesting. Yeah. Simple is like the sadhu sangha is the main thing.
Mm.
Like at home, association. Like at the home, like you can associate through some social media like YouTube or something and hearing about them or reading books or something. But the real thing is like being with the people and seeing them and like relishing them each and every activity that we do. Each and everyone has a different mode, and like this experience by technology we cannot get it. The vibrations simple like if you go where do we go to concert? So to enjoy that vibes there, to when people are singing and like dancing and everything, and like to see that. And like you can do same thing from home by listening and in the mobile, but you won't get same the vibe. You don't even stand to dance. There is a difference is the live and being at home. The simple thing is like here is more like by seeing others, we change a lot. It's all taking inspiration from others. Here, the the ashram residents who are like 20, 22, 23, they are very, very, very advanced than like me and like the people who I see in the congregation. The way they study, the way they understand, the way they spend time is completely different. And the best thing is here you will get association of so many sannyasis and the transcendentalist. They visit temple all the time, and like once in a month you can see at least one or two highly elevated people who comes and like they speak about Krishna and self-realization and self-care, and like their association for just few days or few minutes and their hug will create a lot of impact that we can't even express in our words or any actions. And like that moments is like lifelong memories for us.
Thank you. Devanshi, is there anything that you feel from your own personal experience?
I think he already mentioned most important things. My point was also that, like, living in the academy, you see a lot of like senior devotees coming to the temple. Like some days, Jananivas Prabhu was here, and then Visheshika Prabhu was here, and then Brajvilas Prabhu came with Jananivas Prabhu, Shrutakirti Prabhu, Guru Das Prabhu, and Prabhupada Priya. So Mirakula Mataji. So all these people that all these senior devotees that were here in the ashram, uh, just having their association, or sometimes in the ashram, residents also get the chance to personally serve them. And so then, when you personally serve a senior devotee, then you get to spend some time with them personally. And those few moments can actually change the course of your life. You may find your mentors, you may find your answers to your questions that you've been looking for years. So all these things, sadhu sangha, it's hard to do at home. So even if you can, so Bhakti Academy is not a program that extends for a long time. The reason that Bhakti Academy is structured in this way, that it's a semester-based program. So for 3 months, you're living in the ashram residence, following rules and regulations, and also chanting your japa. And for the 3 months, you're focusing everything, your time, your attention in Krishna. So even, I mean, we have options like part-time and full-time, but if you choose to be full-time, you can actually do that for 3 months, then graduate, and then you can do your own thing after. Continue that practice, continue that practice in your life after. Yeah.
Nice. How about you, Monil?
I think most of it is covered by Devansh and Venkatesh, but I'd like to add something like if you stay in the ashram or in Bhakti Academy, you would get more service opportunities, or you will get a chance to fully immerse yourself in the process. Because living outside, you might read sometimes, you might listen to someone sometimes, but living in the ashram, there's a setting, like there's a whole routine that Devanshi just mentioned, that we get up early in the morning every day. We chant like our we do mantra meditation every morning, and there's also opportunity to share this with others. I think that is one of the most important part, that living outside, you might have some opportunities to share it with others, but staying in the ashram, organizing these events for the newcomers, that is a really, like, that is something that you won't be able to do at your home or wherever you stay.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think some of the main takeaways of staying in an ashram rather than practicing at home is that you have that structure, and then also having that ability to feed off of other people in the ashram and learn from them, and then also grow. And because all of you are doing it together, it makes you all want to do it more because you're like, okay, she's doing it, so I'm going to do it too. And so I think that actually helps you grow. And then you did mention about having the opportunity to have access to the devotees who come and visit from out of town, those senior devotees, and being able to serve them. So it's really nice that you have that opportunity. And, you know, one of the tenets of Bhakti is the 9 processes of devotion and the loving exchanges between devotees. And what's really nice about the ISKCON Toronto community is that we have so many senior devotees and Srila Prabhupada disciples. And so how do you yourself kind of respect those devotees or learn from them? And, you know, how do you, as a leader, instill those values in others?
Could you please repeat question one more time? I would like to.
Yeah, so because of we have so many senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples in our community, you know, what do you do personally? I don't know, like, do you learn from them as well, or do you kind of, how do you kind of interact with them? Do they help you in your journey? Is there any way that you kind of do you associate with those devotees in any way as well, apart from those who come and visit from out of town?
Each and every ISKCON senior devotees, their life itself is a very inspiring to us. The way they're living their life, very their austerity and like very simple and like very loving. Okay, by looking at them is a good inspiration for each and every one. A part of that, unlike each and everyone has a unique way of expressing their love towards the God. Like few people do through book distribution, few people do through meditation, few people do through playing different instruments, and like there are so many ways, so many ways. And this Krishna conscious is like the content of like it's a ocean of content, like wherever you go and touch, there is a nectar. So like each and every individual, like we have mentors here. Okay. They help both personally and like, personal life, how to deal things, and as well as like they help in spiritually, how can we meet Guru, and how can we, being as a disciple, what should we do? There is 2 types of Guru, Shiksha Guru and as well as Diksha Guru here. So, moreover, like you can find so many Shiksha Gurus here. Like you can learn cooking, you can learn different arts, and like everyone is uniquely different and they're so inspiring. I can say that thing. Is it answering your question? Like,
Yeah, like kind of what you learn from them and being in their association. So yeah,
yeah.
that's great. Samanshi?
I think the best way to learn from them is to just inquire about how the time that they spent with Prabhupada. Sometimes there are some situations that happen, Prabhupada acted in a certain way, and only those devotees know those stories. And those stories have so much nectar that you just want to know them. So whenever like in the congregation we have Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu, Shubhalas Prabhu, Mother Praharna, you know, all these senior devotees. So whenever they come to the temple, or they're just call away, so we just ask them, okay, something like this. Can you tell us more about this, or can you tell us more about the time you share with Prabhupada? And I think we're also thinking of starting a series of talks with Prabhupada disciples in the future, which will soon start. So you please stay tuned for that. And yeah, so just learning about from their life, and learning how they dealt with situations in their own life, and asking questions.
Thank you for sharing. I love that. Monil?
So yes, actually, their whole life is a lesson for us. The way they lived their life, they've actually dedicated their whole life and to the process, to this process of bhakti, and that is very inspiring. And till date, they are just going on, and their their surrender towards their spiritual master, Prabhupada, it's just amazing. Like the love that they have for him is it's very inspiring, and we want to have that kind of love for our spiritual master or for Prabhupada. So that is very exemplary, and someone like Bhakti Swami Maharaj, who actually stays with us and who is always there for us. Like any difficulties, any challenges we have in our life, he's there for us. He's there guiding us. He's always there making us smile and protecting us, helping us in each and every way that possible. So that is something that I learn and I want to do in future for my juniors.
And he takes us for different outings. He likes water games a lot. But Swami Maharaj, we love to play with him all the time. He's our own grandfather. Uh, as I grown up with my family, I didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with my grandfather. But I'm so happy that his love that we are getting here is is something that we cannot get it anywhere else. He's very affectionate to each and every one of us who is living here.
Thank you. It's so nice to hear how much you stress the importance of following amongst those who've been practicing for many years and are more senior to us as well. So you did mention, I think it was Devanshi that mentioned, the interest of hearing memories of Srila Prabhupada from his disciples. What is it that most inspires you about Srila Prabhupada?
I can tell you about one thing that was shared with me. I'm not sure who actually I heard it from, but I heard that Srila Prabhupada was actually insulted for initiating uh, providing Brahmin initiation to people in the West by the people who were caste Brahmins in India. And even after that, he didn't stop doing it. And he knew that he had to do this. He had to give Brahmin initiation to people who are eligible and not just based off of caste. That's something that's so inspiring to me because it we can't hold right over something. If someone is eligible, you have to give that to them, right? And Prabhupada understands this mood so much, so deeply. And he struggles so much to collect money for Back to Godhead magazine. He went door to door asking for, money, and he was knocked on by a bull in Delhi. He had suffered 2 heart attacks while he was coming from India to the West. And all these things, even after this, he would stay up overnight, um, translating his books from Sanskrit, from other languages to English for the people who don't know that language. Even then, they're able to understand it. If this is not the definition of love, I don't know what other definition of love there is that exists.
Wow, that's very, very well put. How about Venkatesh or Munil? What are your things that inspire you most about Srila Prabhupada?
Manil, go ahead.
Okay, I think Devanshi covered most of it, but one thing that inspired me the most is the affection, the love that he had for everyone when he came to the West. Uh, like he was they were actually strangers to him. He had nothing to do with them. He was doing okay, doing his practices in the holy place of Vrindavan. uh he had his room and he was doing well. There was no need for him to come to the West and take up like a lot of struggles, going through 2 heart attacks and coming like penniless. He was having 40 rupees, 40 Indian rupees, that has actually no value in US. So taking up that struggle and going through a lot for what? Just because his spiritual master said that you should go invest and preach them this process of Krishna consciousness, and that is not possible if you don't have the compassion, love, for other people. So yeah, that is something that is really inspiring to me.
Thank you. How about
Okay.
you, Venkatesh?
So I can say he's a torchbearer, like the one who changed like the everything at one moment, like especially to the Western people, like coming from India and like creating such a big wall like ISKCON is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. Exactly at the age of 70 to 80, in the 10 years of process, he created such a nice wall for a people like me to help us. And the second point is by looking at him, people will change. His sincerity and his vision and his the power of his sadhana and the belief that he has the trust, how much he surrendered to Krishna, that you can see in his murti. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see him directly, but like by looking at his deity in the temple hall, like it's like he's alive there, sitting, he's sitting there and like he's looking at each and every one of us, how we are doing. His each and every action when we hear his pastimes is gives something that we need to learn in our life to elevate ourselves from the current stage. And he says each and every word in the Srimad Bhagavatam are like a Bhagavad Gita in his books. These are not coming from my mouth. These are the ecstasy that I felt. That every word is ecstasy. That means he felt that in his heart before he's giving that nectar to us. So this, like the one mundane person, like who was spending life without having any purpose and like just with one visit of uh, temple, like can change his life. That means how many people like me, they changed their lives. You can see the real mm, example, like so many people in this all over the world, the ISKCON devotees, and how they are sincerely following. It's all coming from him. It's all coming from him. And like, I don't think we can explain about him or he can share his love in the very short time, but like, we, we should have hours and days to talk about him.
No
Yeah,
discrimination. He had no
sorry. Go ahead.
he had no
Yeah,
discrimination for anyone, even if it was like there's a story that one of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, they were going out and telling people in the West that Srila Prabhupada is doing an event somewhere, and so they were inviting people. So there was one drunkard. He heard about it and he said, "Oh, what does he? Oh, so that there's free food. So then I'll come." Right? And then the Prabhupada disciple told him, he was asking a few questions, and then he said, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead to the drunkard person, and we are our real identity is servant of God. Right? So then the drunkard person went to Srila Prabhupada in the assembly. He stood up and said, Swamiji, I want initiation. So initiation is like when a mentor takes you in and guides you throughout the life, right? And that drunkard person stood up and he's like, I want initiation. So at this, like um, um, initiation happens when like after a certain time in your spiritual practice, right? Like you do your rounds and then you chant for some time and then you follow four regulative principles for a certain time and then you get initiated. And Prabhupada is like, okay, answer two of my questions and I'll take you in. I'll guide you throughout your life. And Prabhupada asked, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And the person answered, Krishna. And Prabhupada actually said, if you can answer these two questions, I'll take you in. Right? So then Prabhupada asked, who are we? And he said, servant of Krishna. And then Prabhupada was like, okay, I will initiate you. I will take you in. So just the mercy of the devotees, and also Prabhupada was always so loving and accepting. It's so inspiring.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing what inspires you about Srila Prabhupada. I can see how your eyes light up when you talk about Srila Prabhupada, and he really did create a world in which the whole world can live in. And I think you could see how exemplary he was, how compassionate, loving, and caring he was to everybody, and how he instilled those values for us to follow. And before we conclude, I just want to hear like maybe just one sentence about what your favorite thing is about Bhakti Academy. Just one sentence.
Spending time.
People.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Spending time with people, spending time with devotees.
Awesome.
Love.
The love. Okay, perfect.
Okay,
And
as Devanshi took my answer, I would say food, sanctified food.
food, yeah, that's a good one. Awesome.
Like,
Well,
I'll keep it super short, just one word, not even one sentence.
I know you guys just said one word, so I love it. But yeah, it was so great having all three of you on the podcast today and learning about your experiences and how you grew through the Bhakti Academy program and how much it impacted you just being in the presence of others within the Bhakti Academy ashram, but also learning from the senior devotees at ISKCON Toronto and also around the world. And it's been really nice to see what all inspires you so much to continue practicing and growing in this practice. And then I also really liked how you, Manil, especially shared a lot about sharing this practice with others and how important it is to go around and share because you guys got so impacted by it and you know how important it is that you need to share this with others. So I think our audience will really like to hear all about that. And so we've been really honored to have you on Transcendental Talks Toronto.
Thank you so much. It was really fun to have this conversation with you guys. Really got to share a lot. And I hope people who are listening this, they will hear this and get inspired and, I don't know, take up the practice of Bhakti or come to Bhakti Academy, be part of our events, come to the temple, and we'll be here to welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you. And just one final question. What's the best way to get in touch if someone is interested in joining Bhakti Academy?
So we have a WhatsApp group, which we have a QR code. Maybe we can display that here somewhere when you publish the video. And we also have a website called bhaktiacademytoronto.ca, which you can go to and apply for Bhakti Academy there. Just a bunch of questions and a form that you need to fill. And other than that, just come to the temple and we're always here. We will show you around the temple and tell you about our events and just, spend some time with us.
Perfect. Yeah, it's bhaktiacademy.ca.
Yes.
Bhaktiacademy.ca, yes, sorry.
Well, thank you so much. As Radhapriya mentioned, it was such an insightful conversation. I felt like I was on a journey from the time that all of you joined to where you are now. And it's definitely inspiring. And we hope that others listening to this call can take part and join and participate in all the wonderful programs that Bhakti Academy has. Thank you for joining again for Transcendental Talks. And we hope to see you again in a future call. And thank you to all our listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.